What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The Brew with Matt and Mike is back in Wisconsin. Unbelievable performance from them last night, 98-71 against Penn State. It got late early in that game. Unbelievable from Wisconsin. Really, I don't know if you could play much better. And for Penn State, I don't know if you could play much worse. It was a little bit Murphy's Law for them, but the levels to that game, it was almost like a D3 team versus a D1 team. It was incredible how much better Wisconsin looked. It was comical. That's as relaxed of a Big Ten game you'll ever get to watch on the road as a fan. But Mike, give me your thoughts on the game.
Early, it looked a little bit, it took about 8 to 10 minutes for them to kind of really get going and pull away from this Penn State team. But they showed out. They did what they needed to do early. They took care of their, they didn't play with their food, which was great to see. And just a huge shout out to Rhodey. He was balling before he decided to split his chin open. He was making plays all over the place. He was their best pick and roll player defensively. He was an animal. He had tips. He had steals. He was getting into the paint. He had a really nice dime to John Blackwell. To then he just had multiple sequences of plays that you were like, damn, that was a great play. He was just playing at a really high level at being a star role player. And for me, it's great to see him continue to, find more confidence, find his role, find his niche within this team, because he is a high level player. And it was fun to see that, especially in the first half before he decided to, kiss the floor and come up bloody. But overall, just a really, really good game, in terms of where Wisconsin is, this continued growth of this team. They're really fun to watch now. It was a little bit difficult to watch them early in the season just because they were unsure of each other. Their offense wasn't quite as fluid. Now you see guys, the ball is zipping around. We were talking about beforehand, just kind of prepping for this show. There was multiple possessions where they had swung the ball from one wing all the way to the other wing, 2 dribbles off of a ball screen, nothing there, swing, another 2 dribble ball screen, and they would find open shots. So they've been doing that for about 3 weeks now, since the Michigan game, really since the Villanova game. That Villanova game really gave them some, whatever it was, even though they lost, they unlocked some stuff there. They found some confidence. Certain guys came in and played really well. We were talking off air a little bit too about how that was the last game where Braden Carrington was not inserted into this team and put his stamp on the team, was against Villanova. He got a DNP. I can't remember if he was hurt, but whatever it was, he was just non-existent in that game and kind of before that in part of the season, and all of a sudden comes in against Michigan, puts his big old Minnesota footprint on that. Yeah, former Minnesota Mr. Basketball. He came in and showed out, and he's just, his confidence and the level that he's playing with and the grit that he's playing with and the position that he is in right now, coming off of the bench. He's put himself in an interesting position. We were talking a little bit about it of being the, 6th man of the year. So it was really fun to see him kind of grow, as well as just this team as a whole. Like, you can tell they really like each other now. They're continuing to grind. They're starting to show why we were so excited about them early in the season, right? The puzzle pieces, for whatever reason, needed to get sanded down. They needed to find a way to fit in. They weren't really quite sure how to work together. And now all of a sudden, a couple things clicked. The puzzle looks complete, and this is a really, really fun team to watch.
Absolutely. And before we continue rolling with the reaction and talk about things moving forward, Mike, guess what the temperature is outside in Wisconsin right now?
Pardon my French, but is it oh shit when you walk outside?
It's oh shit.
Yeah, okay. That's sorry for the language, but I've lived in places where I walk outside and I go, oh shit, I don't want to be outside.
It is negative 15 degrees right now. We're not talking wind chill. We're straight up below. That's why I needed to heat up my coffee. One of my favorite coffee mugs. Got a Boston Terrier in the front. My favorite breed of dog.
Look at you.
So I got this in Boston. It says Boston, and bok.
We're at a 95 degree temperature difference right now. Just so you know, like I'm sunburned from my time on the beach yesterday. So just so you know.
Yeah, Mike's a true island man these days. He's enjoying that island life, and I can't blame him at all. But yeah, man, it's brutal outside. The schools are closed. But let's get back into this reaction video. But it is absolutely brutal up here. Mike's deciding whether or not he's going to be coming back to Wisconsin. This might veer him not to visit
It's
because
not a
this
good
is nasty
start.
stuff.
Not a
Nasty
good start.
stuff. But what I want to say about the game is Rhodey. Penn State got off to a 4-0 run to start the game, and then after that, it became belt to ass pretty quickly. And Rhodey, to me, was the thing that got the Badgers rolling. Just overall, getting the ball zipping around, getting the ball moving, had some beautiful, beautiful high level dimes and some great heads up defensive plays. And he just had a swagger out there and a confidence. And this whole team had a swagger and a confidence, and they were competing from beginning to end. They were competing and they were going hard. They were bringing the grit, and shots are falling now. But you can see a confidence from Rhodey, and where he is just having fun out there. And he's feeling like an absolute madman, where he feels the need to Superman dive for a ball that he really doesn't have a chance to get. And if he does somehow end up with it, it's going to be a jump ball, Penn State's ball. He's going to risk all his teeth to dive on that ball in a game that is totally in control. I love it. I respect the hustle, the statement that made, the tone that sets moving forward. But yeah, they're having a lot of fun and they're confident. And the same thing goes with Carrington, obviously. Carrington, if you just watch the last 4 games, you'd be like, this guy could end up being a role player in the NBA with how high level this guy is playing. Because he's about 6'4", 6'5". He's physically very solid. And you go the last 4 games, statistically speaking. He is shooting 50% from 3 and 14 of 28 from 3, and he's 15 of 30 from the field. So he's 1 of 2 elsewhere from 3. A lot of it's coming from 3, and a lot of them aren't easy looks, and that ball goes so high in the air, and it falls in the hoop. A lot of arc on those shots, but you look at his career statistics, and he has shot, his freshman year, shot 33% from 3, 22% as a sophomore, 33 as a junior, and now he's cooking with gas at Wisconsin, 43.8. And if you're a Milwaukee Brewer fan, in recent years, there's been a Brewer effect where players put on that Brewer jersey and they play out of their mind. They'll be in their 30s and they'll have a career year. I'm starting to see that a little bit with Wisconsin, where guys come over and they play their best basketball. And you got to give Gard a lot of credit. And I also want to give Gard a shout out for disciplining, benching, whatever it was that he had Carrington not playing, whatever was going on behind the scenes, what Gard didn't like from him on the court, whether it was, him making a goofy defensive play here and there, not playing up to their standards. But Gard deciding to bench him, it's paying off pretty well. He lit a fire under him, and now Carrington is the real deal. And I just saw Carrington and Boyd next to each other on the bench at one point, and I was thinking to myself, those are 2 old, physically matured guys. And for you to make a run in March, in today's college basketball, that's exactly what you need. And the puzzle pieces, they were all there from the beginning, but now they're starting to fit together, and they're starting to like each other, understand each other, and they're playing with more grit and more tenacity. And shots falling is an amazing thing. The shots start falling, you start feeling yourself a little bit more. But they're obviously doing a lot more than just making shots. To have those shots go in, they're setting it up properly. They're getting their feet into the lane. And Mike, what I want to ask you is, obviously, like I just said, the shots are going through the hoop at a much higher rate. But can you get more granular for me? What are some of your favorite improvements that you've seen from this Wisconsin team on this recent winning stretch?
The biggest improvement that they've made, so defensively, they've made improvements in terms of they're just moving as a collective better. It seems like their communication, and they're very definitive on what they want to do defensively. They're understanding their rules. They're understanding which shots they're going to give up. Guys seem to be following the scouting report quite a bit better now. Like, hey, we're not helping so much off the strong side corner. I don't think they gave up a strong side corner 3 yesterday, which is, I haven't been in the program for 13 plus years, but I also know that that's a golden rule there. Like, you don't come off the corner on the strong side. It's a part of basketball. And I know Coach Gard still keeps a lot of those same defensive philosophies that we had when I was playing there under Bo Ryan. So defensively, they're starting to click. Guys are being much more accountable. Ball you man, the bigs are keeping guards in front of them, and things are just shaking out a little bit better. They're having more confidence and cohesion as a defensive unit. So really credit to those guys, credit to Coach Gard on continuing to instill that defensive presence that we've been used to having, right? And then offensively, going into their offense earlier in the year, it was a lot of wing ball screens that didn't really develop into too much. It was wing ball screens. They would really be, driving more the 3-point line than driving to attack the elbows. And I would talk about that earlier in the year where the depth of their offense wasn't there. It was very lateral. And the problem with that is, yes, it can be lateral, but they were being very lateral with dribbles, as well as they were not attacking the elbows. They were not being able to get paint touches easily. And also, when they swung the basketball, there's been a big change. You'll see it this next game is they do a much better job of screening out of their zoom action. So what I mean by that is when the ball gets swung to the top with either Billy Auskis or Nolan Winter, there's a guy in the corner and there's a guy on the wing. Specifically, Rhodey does a fabulous job when it's Rhodey and Blackwell's in the corner. Andrew Rhodey does a great job of down screening his man because teams are switching it, and then all of a sudden there's a space, and John Blackwell's getting a wide open corner three. And if he doesn't, he creates a closeout to go into a ball screen. And it's the same thing for Nick Boyd as well. So they're doing a great job of that, as well as guys are starting to figure out where they need to be. They're understanding their spacing, they're understanding where they're going to get shots from, which is why shots are falling. The biggest thing is when you take a shot, if you know you're going to get a shot and you know a shot is coming for you and you should be taking that shot, the confidence you have to make that shot is, tenfold, goes up a whole bunch, and then your percentage goes up a lot. And then the other thing for me too is just seeing the maturation of guys. Nolan Winter, he's starting to put the ball on the deck. He's starting to understand, hey, I got to score inside. He's doing a great job. He's understanding, hey, I'm a giant human, and I'm a hard person to deal with down there. He's figuring that out. He had a great keep yesterday off of a dribble handoff, right? He came up. We haven't seen that at all. There's nobody on the team that has done a keep out of a dribble handoff all year. And for me to see that, it means they're really understanding their offense right now. And so and they're starting to understand, hey, who needs to get shots where, when guys need to go off. They're playing off their two stars. So there's a lot of really great things that are going on with them. And it's, a credit to the coaching staff. It's a credit to the guys to continue to believe in this and work with each other and work for each other.
Right now, this team has a universal confidence. Is there anyone on Wisconsin right now that you see that doesn't have, that's not just oozing with confidence? It seems to be just about everyone at this point.
I agree with you completely. Even guys coming off the bench, obviously Carrington's put in a bunch of points and stuff, but yesterday, Jack Janicki, he did a shot fake sidestep three. That block was nasty. Janicki's coming in and changing games for them too in a manner that is not necessarily showing up on the stat sheet, but his energy in terms of his grit. Yeah, he put the ball on the deck. He had a great pass. I think it was to Belauskis. He was attacking down. You could see he kind of did a scissor skip step into an in and out, no look dime. And I was like, oh, he's feeling himself right now. I like to see that out of him, in terms of he might not be, offensively going and getting 15, 20 points, but defensively he's bringing it, he's flying around. And you can see even with that stuff, like yesterday, a shot fake sidestep three for Jack Janicki, who isn't really shooting the ball at a super high clip. Man, it's great to see him at least shoot that. And it wasn't a tentative, I don't know if I should shoot that. I can take this shot. This is something I should do. It's later in the shot clock. So, those guys are coming in, and then the young guys coming in. Kinzinger yesterday made a couple baskets. Belauskis, Hayden Jones started to show himself a little bit yesterday. Will Garlock is improving right before our eyes. Like, he is going to be a great player. It's just, moments are a little bit big for him at times earlier in the year, but big body, starting to rebound, starting to find some confidence in himself. So overall, this team, winning's a great deodorant. Winning helps you build confidence. Going through tough times and then starting to win builds even more confidence. So I'm loving it right now. I'm seeing a whole bunch of stuff. And, my question for you then is there was a few awards that have gone through, a couple of watches. Hey, these players are getting this, but on the coaching staff specifically, I know Coach Gard gets a lot of credit, but who do you think is also coming in and helping these guys the most? If you were to look at it from yourself, that everybody's got their different skill set, but out of this, who do you think is one of the better assistants that you have out here right now?
You got to go Joe Krabenhoff. Just from the reports and what you hear around Wisconsin is that Krabenhoff is the real deal. And it seems like he's just one of those guys that, I'm not just trying to disrespect Gard, but you talk about grit and intangibles and motivating guys. Gard doesn't seem to have Krabenhoff's level when it comes to that. And I think Gard bringing in a guy like Brad Davison. That guy is a gritty, fiery competitor, a positive energy guy. And Sharif Chambliss, I mean, he's the same way, where he's a positive energy guy. I mean, so Gard seems to be getting more confident and charismatic as time goes on. It's kind of funny. If you start winning games, all of a sudden Gard's got some aura to him. You know, like a lot of people a few years ago would kind of make fun of him. But now watch Gard. If Gard continues to win, if they go on a deep run, Gard's going to be the man. He's going to have some serious aura surrounding him. But it seems like he's getting more and more confident, more personable as time goes on. But I think you have some guys on the bench who just bring the intangibles to Gard's wonderful X's and O's. And then Kirk Penny left his stamp on the program with his X's and O's when it comes to revitalizing and modernizing the offense. So you look at all these different assistants, and Greg Steemsma, a lot of them have different temperaments, different mannerisms, personalities. They're all former Wisconsin players. I think it's a really unique blend. And I know someone who's not on the coaching staff that I don't think would accept an opportunity, but has a high level basketball IQ and is a vibe and a good energy guy, and that's Mike Brusewitz. So Wisconsin, if you want to bring another guy, because no one has a personality like you on the team and brings what you bring
Definitely
to the table.
Not.
Make the call to Mike. Say, hey, this is the money we can offer you, and we want you to be an assistant. And Mike will have to make a decision. Hey, do I want to hop on the staff or do I want to keep living that island life? But I really. What was that?
There's not a beach that's going to be better than where I'm currently at in Wisconsin. I'm so sorry. I'm a beach boy now. It's one of those things, man. I can't do those winters anymore. I will not. Money is nice. 80 degrees all year, like, man.
Yeah, but I'll just say I really like the blend of the coaches and their personalities and the eras they all come from. I think it's really cool. And Davison's so young. He's 2 years older than Boyd, barely. I just think it's a really, really nice blend. But I'll go with Krabenhoff as the biggest game changer. Who do you have?
I mean, for me, I would look at it like this. They have an interesting blend. I don't know how many coaching staffs have only former players on the staff. So I really do enjoy that. I do enjoy that about the staff. Sharif Chambliss got some love. I know what he does on the end. I got to play. Sharif was the video coordinator when I was there my junior year, and then he got moved up to assistant, and then Joe Krabenoff was a video coordinator when I was a senior. So I got to work under those guys when they were young. Both guys great. In terms of Greg, for me, I look at it like this. I think Greg Steemsma is probably one of the most important guys on that roster of coaches because he brings a very good temperament. Greg is a really great guy. If you've ever got to hang out with him off the court, super humble, super chill, very, very relaxed person. But he played in the NBA, and he understands. The thing is he understands the plight of being a giant human. He understands the progression that it takes to get to being able to hey, sometimes your body doesn't work the way you want it to work. Sometimes you can't move your feet how you think it is, and to have somebody on staff that actually really, really understands that because he lived it, right? He was the guy who, grew into his own body, grew into it and developed later because he's such a giant human and his appendages did not work the way he wanted them to. And so for him, I think it's just a credit to him for, Garlock understanding his feet and his hands, coming in with Winter, the development of Winter. He's probably worked a lot with Greg Steemsma, as well as you got Belauskis, who's learning from these guys. You're learning from a former NBA big who understands spacing, who understands footwork, who understands the finer points of the game, because Greg was a development coach in the NBA for many years before he came to Wisconsin. So for me, I look at it like that. Greg has a huge impact on them, especially in college basketball, where bigs are not quite as filled out as they will be when they grow up and when they really become professionals. And so I know he's definitely helping with that maturation process.
Unless you play for Purdue, then they're fully developed. But you go Belauskis, I wanted to give him a shout out because he really moved his feet well and he's really improving in ball screen situations. And I love that you have Steemsma working with Belauskis, working with Winter, working with Garlock. I mean, that is a high level 7-footer to be playing with those guys. And just looking back on Steamsma's time at Wisconsin, that's a guy who I wish redshirted his freshman year, because the year after Steamsma and Butch were out, because Steamsma was behind Butch his whole career. And I don't think Bo was, it seemed from afar that Bo was kind of hard on Steamsma and didn't play him a whole lot. But if Wisconsin had him that following year, because you had Landry at the center in 08, 09. If you had Steamsma on that team would have been nasty, and Steamsma would have been cooking as a fifth year. Yeah, absolutely. But going back down memory lane, the last thing I'll ask Mike, and then we'll wrap this episode up. Thank you. If you're still watching this video, thank you very much. But the last question I'll ask you, Mike, is we talked about some stories against Penn State. I just learned in that ugly 36-33 game in the 2011 Big Ten tournament where he lost to Penn State, you partially tore your ACL.
Did. So that was a nasty game in the field house in Indianapolis. It was paint drying was a better time than that game was, and it was surprising because our team was good, and so was Penn State. That was a team that had Taylor Battle. They won their first round game in the NCAA tournament. We were a good team. They were a good team. For whatever reason, we just couldn't figure it out. But it was in the second half. We were trying to make a little bit of a run. I think we went on like a 4-0 run, which is 20% of the scoring in that game. And I just remember I was guarding somebody and ended up kind of weirdly false stepping, tweaking my ankle, and hyperextending my knee. And for whatever reason, like when you looked at the film, Henry Perez-Guerra got about 7 messages from other physical therapists, from other physio guys saying, hey, good luck to Mike on his recovery. We hope surgery goes well. We hope everything the best for him. Because the way it looked is like, oh yeah, I should have torn my ACL. It's not the first time I should have hurt, it wasn't the first time I should have hurt my knee and didn't. It's not the last time it's happened either. But it was a interesting game. I go back in the locker room and I just tell Henry, I'm like, yo, tell me, did I tear my ACL? Did I mess my knee up? Because it felt weird. It just felt goofy. And I knew that when I did it, I knew something was wrong. And, I went back in and they do, it's called the Lockman's test, where they push your knee front and back to see if those ligaments are holding where your knee is in place. And the Lockman's test felt fine. Yeah. The Lockman's test felt fine from, who I think Dr. Orwin did it for me. So Dr. Orwin did that. He's retired now. I know he's living a good life, and his son Gregory is still on the bench being the hydration specialist. Shout out to Gregory Orwin, my guy. But yeah, so I had that, and the next day it was funny. And actually, like a silver lining to that story is because I partially tore my ACL and my knee was about to swell up, we did not take I think it was going to be like an 8-hour bus trip back to Wisconsin that night after we lost, because Coach Ryan was pissed after we lost that game. He was distraught, like, for the correct reasons. We didn't play very well, but it was super funny because Henry was just like, hey, we should not go on a bus with Mike in this state. We got to fly back. We can't have him be in there. We're going to, as soon as we get back early in the morning, we're going to go do the MRI and everything like that. So you're welcome, guys. I saved us a bus trip. We were able to sleep in a hotel. We got on the flight. Things were a little bit cushy because, I took one for the team. So my old teammates, you guys are welcome. But yeah, I went back and had had the images taken. They all basically said, like, my knee looks like I had a surgically repaired knee from 2 years out. So we're not going to do surgery. It's partially torn. We're going to get you a brace and see how you feel and how much your pain tolerance is. And then we had the NCAA tournament next week. So we went down to Arizona. I had my first practice in an Arizona gym. It was okay. Had my second practice down there. And then we went on a nice little run. I actually played extremely well on a bum knee. I played really well against Belmont, hit a big shot against Kansas State to send us to the Sweet 16. So for me, it was interesting. It kind of went from the absolute lows, the doldrums, to the next weekend just feeling on top of the world because we got out to the second weekend. So interesting time in my life. It also helped me kind of learn my body a little bit more. So it was not all bad in hindsight. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
There's a few things reacting to that. One, yeah, I remember you had a nice steal against Belmont where you kind of snuck around when it was their ball and everyone was running down the court. You kind of snuck around, stole the ball, put it back in. for Wisconsin. Then I remember, that against Kansas State, you shot a modernized three on the run. I believe the score was like 60-60, like early in the shot clock. Back when Wisconsin really liked to work the shot clock.
Transition, not a oh hey, we worked around transition. Yes.
And I wonder if you lifting and as being as physically solid as you were at that point in time, like, because Wisconsin would make you guys lift like football players. I wonder if that helped you perhaps not tear your ACL when you should have, or maybe all that lifting contributed to you having that moment. No, I'm not sure.
Definitely not. I would say my time playing hockey and my ability to fall correctly. And I think just being a physically sturdy human. Thanks, Mom and Dad. You're the best. Appreciate the genetics.
Okay. And then last question is, did that have any long-term effects on you?
No. I just had like a bone bruise, and in terms of, damage to my right leg, I've had all my surgeries have been on my right leg. So, I've had 3 of them. All have been on my right leg. But no, the partially torn ACL, no, I've healed completely. Had 0 problems with it later. It kind of blew up for a couple of weeks. It didn't let me lift so much. I had to take some time off after the season. I do remember after the Kansas State game on the flight home, my knee was a little bit of a fat girl. I was a little bit of a fat lady. So I was like, all right, cool, we're good. But other than that, no long-term effects. Other than just figuring out my body a little bit more, understanding how things work. That was about it.
Good deal. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for making it to the end of the episode. The Brew will be back soon. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for my channel, for Mike's channel, and we'll see you in the near future.